What is Mailer-Daemon, and why is it sending me email? Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I got. I got an email from something called Mailer-Daemon at an email service. What is that? Are there demons on the internet? Some probably would argue that there are definitely demons at play in various aspects of the internet. Certain parts of social media come to mind. But this is not that. A demon, spelled with an A, is different than a demon without the A, even though they're typically pronounced the same way. Demons are a fundamental part of how modern operating systems and indeed the entire internet work. Daemon is really just another name for background service. The term is evidently a nod to something called Maxwell's daemon, which is part of an 1867 thought experiment relating to the second law of thermodynamics. The daemon was a quote-unquote being who can play a game of skill with molecules. In today's parlance, a daemon is just software performing some behind-the-scenes task. In Windows, we call them services, and there are a bunch. As I wrote the original article on which this video is based, my desktop PC had approximately 137 daemons, or services, running in the background. In comparison, the Linux server on which I host askleo has 27 services running in the background. Regardless of the operating system, they could just as easily be called daemons or services. In fact, in Linux, you'll probably see both terms used, both service and daemon. The tide, I guess, is slowly changing to the term service, but older processes definitely may still be referred to as a daemon. And email is most definitely an old process, older even than the internet itself. Now, the concept of an always running program to process email dates back to the days of the internet's predecessor, ARPANET. Software running on a network-connected machine awaits incoming email messages to be processed and passed on to their destinations. It typically has no real user interface other than, say, a configuration file telling it what to do and a log file listing, well, what it did. It just runs in the background, performing its task. It's a service, or a daemon. A Mailer-Daemon is any software running in the background that's processing email. One of the things that Mailer-Daemons handle is error and status reporting. Examples include another mail server that's not working, a misdirected email message, refusal to accept a particular message, notifications that a particular message has been delivered, and so on. Many, if not most of those cases, involve sending an email message to the original sender, informing them of the problem or sharing the status information. Depending on the specific email software being used, that message can come from many different names. One of the most common is Mailer-Daemon, specifically an email address like mailerdaemon@somerandomservice.com, where somerandomservice.com is replaced with the actual email service that's involved. In practice, you'll probably see Mailer-Daemon most often for email bounce messages. Be sure to read the message for the details of what's being reported. Bottom line, Mailer-Daemon itself is nothing to be concerned about. It's a fundamental part of how email works. Do pay attention to the messages Mailer-Daemon might send you. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/191556. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.